Good morning, everybody. Good morning. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Did anybody notice? Yes? Looks a little different for some of you who haven't been around for a while. Is anyone familiar with the story of Henny Penny or Chicken Little? Yeah, how she ran around and said, "The sky is falling, the sky is falling. I have to tell the king." And she gathered all her friends on board with this idea that the whole sky was falling, and what really happened is she had an acorn drop on her head. So I revisited the story this week, and I realized that I didn't remember this part from my childhood. I think I blocked out a lot of things that I didn't like. But apparently the whole crew that was chasing after her, trying to find the king, saying, "The sky is falling, the sky is falling," ended up following a fox who said, "I know where the king lives, follow me." And they all ended up in the fox's cave in the last sentences, and they did not make it to the king. So I was wondering, what would have happened if Henny Penny or Chicken Little, depending on the story, had turned to gratitude instead of this attitude of the sky is falling when it was just merely an acorn that popped onto her head? What if she had taken that acorn and looked at it and went, "Wow, manna from heaven, this is food. Thank you, God." Or what if she looked up to where it had dropped from and seen that entire branch of the oak tree and went, "Thank God that oak tree didn't fall on my head," and moved into gratitude for that? Well, this month's theme is healing through gratitude. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rev Bonnie. I'm the community spiritual leader here. And it's always my privilege to introduce our topic for the month. And so I was thinking a lot about this idea of the sky is falling, because that's a lot of what we've been experiencing around here. And what I know is that gratitude is an amazing tool that can help us heal our past, our present, and our future. So I thought we should start with our present, right where we are, and look at how it is that gratitude has been helping us through this process of experiencing the sky falling. And our sky was falling in the form of goopy ceiling stuff and rain that actually came through the ceilings. And then once we got the roofers here, bits and pieces of stuff, you can see some of it being held up by our plastic. And so the sky was falling as we ran around kind of figuring out what to do next. And a lot of us would jokingly say, "The sky is falling." Have you ever felt like the sky was falling in on you, even if it was just an acorn? Have you ever had that experience of just thinking, "Whoa, everything is coming down on top of me"? Well, when I first walked in on the second time the hail hit us, which was last Wednesday, I believe, I almost just gave up. I looked around, the water was coming in, it was all over, pieces of the ceiling tiles in the social hall were just literally falling. And I just stood here and went, what do we do now? And then I reminded myself that I had been working through this with gratitude for the whole 2 weeks prior from the first hailstorm. So what was I grateful for? I was so grateful for our insurance company. And I know that when it first happened, the first Sunday that we came in here, I think Kathy and I, Kathy's our board president, looked at each other and said, "We're so grateful the insurance is paid up." And then we're so grateful that it was hail and not just leaks, because then it would be taken care of by the hail company. So I realized this week, I am grateful for all of you, for your tithes and offerings, because without them, the insurance wouldn't have been paid up. And we really would have had the sky falling, and I think I would have had to walk out. No, but it would have been a lot worse. And so I was so grateful for that aspect of what was going on. And so I realized I needed to move back into gratitude, and then I needed to call for help. And I did, sent out a text, and I was so grateful for the board members that showed up, and we started covering things. And I realized also, as I was running around here with them, trying to figure out what we should cover next, that in between those two hits with the hail, I had gone to see the women from Creativity for Peace. And I talked about them several weeks, and so I really want to encourage you, if you didn't get to see them, find their website, go on and listen to some of their stories and see what they're doing. These are the women that are going to a camp in Santa Fe, brought in from Israel and the West Bank, and they're working together to get to know each other and to create peace when they go back to their communities. And I realized that I was experiencing some sticky gunk falling from the ceiling, and I was getting wet, but I was safe. And even though we might have felt a little unsafe because we weren't sure what next tile was going to drop on the floor, we were safe. Our lives were safe. We left here wet and cold, but we were safe. And I was so grateful because these girls were going back to conditions where their lives were in danger. The lives of their families and their children were in danger. And so I realized that I had something to be grateful for. And so as I looked at gratitude in terms of how do I have gratitude help me heal my present, I realized that sometimes I have to move into gratitude for what it's not. Thank goodness it's not this. It's just the acorn. It's not the whole sky. Even though it looked and felt like it at that moment, it really was just the acorn. And then I was able to look at that acorn and say, wow, that really was manna from heaven. We're getting a new roof, ceiling, and floors out there and throughout this whole place. So that's feeding us. That's giving us something that we didn't have prior to this experience. And I also want to say that the whole time that we went through this, gratitude is what made it possible for us to work together in such an amazing way, because we stayed in that place. I don't think I would have left here exhilarated with everything that was happening each time I came to the center if it hadn't been that I was interacting with other people who were staying in that place of gratitude. Instead of, oh my God, what did we do wrong? God's punishing us by making the ceiling fall in. We didn't go into that. We stayed in, wow, it's a blessing. What a blessing it was that our adjuster worked quickly. What a blessing it was that Reverend Bram, who's going to be speaking next week, also has a roofing company. It's a blessing. And what a blessing it is that when we called him immediately Monday morning, he turned his whole schedule around and had a crew up here to check things out and to start working with our insurance adjuster. What a blessing that another one of our speakers, Peggy Shin, had a crew that could come in here and take out all the wet and soggy ceiling for us quickly. My own roof at home is going to be replaced because of the hail, and that's going to happen in February. Now, I don't have leaks like we did here, but I realized that the pace that we were able to get things done here was a major blessing. It was amazing, given all the people that have been impacted by what happened. And then for me, the blessing was working with the people on the board and all of the angels in the wings, as Kathy referred to them in the newsletter under the Trustees in Touch. So I hope that you read that, because we give you a lot more information in that than we can possibly give you from here on Sunday mornings as to how this is progressing and what's happening. And in there, she said, we had so many angels waiting in the wings, and we did. So many people that would show up thinking they were coming to one thing, and they ended up pushing a broom. But we were so grateful, because willingly they jumped in and helped. And we had people last Sunday, I got 8 people on a list that said, call me if you need help. And they got calls this week, because when it rained, we still had a little bit of leakage going on out there. So we've had amazing angels. And we had, Leslie, you weren't here for the thank you for yesterday, but this angel was able to bring about an amazing event here in the midst of all of this. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And she had angels helping her. So it's been an amazing experience for all of us to stay in that place of gratitude. And so even though we might start with, well, I'm grateful it's not this, not worse, not something else, Ernest Holmes did tell us that we needed to stand for something and against nothing. And this might be a bit of a leap, but I thought, well, maybe we also need to be grateful for something, not just what we're grateful that it's not. And I do think ideally we want to move into what is it we're actually grateful for. And if we use what we're grateful it's not to help us move into that direction, I think that's okay. But eventually we want to be what we are grateful for. And so I've just mentioned several of the things that I have been extremely grateful for over the last several weeks. Now I know that when you get bonked in the head with an acorn, it can hurt. And if the sky really does start to fall, it can be messy. It's been very messy and dirty. And I know that sometimes newness and change gets really messy. I thought about childbirth. Think about how painful and messy that is. But then think about the joy and the blessing afterward. And so Even in times of looking at your own life, sometimes just taking care of yourself. Other people can tell you, you've messed up my life. But in reality, things shake up to make up. That's Reverend Terry always tells me that. Or things fall apart in order to heal. And so as we look at this and as we find ways to stay in gratitude and move with gratitude through the mess. And I'm so grateful to all of you to be here. I had somebody text me and say, are we really having service? Yes, we are. We've been able to keep moving forward and having service despite all of the mess and some of the discomfort. But we are also eliminating 20 years of stuff that accumulated on our roof. 3 layers of roofing. And we found out that that's actually illegal. So all 3 layers have been removed. We've lifted that weight. We're opening up to a whole new way of being, that newness that comes through that messiness that happens. And so I hope that you also take this opportunity, I know I have been, to think about what it is in our life. Are there layers of stuff that need to be removed right now? This is just a symbol for all of us to look at. And are there ways that things have gotten messy that we might be able to apply gratitude as a tool to help move through the mess until we get to that wonderful thing at the other side? Well, one of the things that I've been taught to use as a tool when I'm in the moment having a difficult time moving into gratitude. And I was lucky enough to remember what I was grateful for when I walked in here the other day. But if I can't remember, I practice this thing that I learned, the A to Z of gratitude, going through the alphabet and finding something for each letter that I'm grateful for. So I thought we'd just give that a little try. So take a moment to think about where are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 feeling really not so good, and 10, wonderful, you're feeling really good. Where on that scale of 1 to 10 are you right now? Just become aware of that for a minute. Okay, and so as I call out a letter, I'd like you to call out something that starts with that letter that you're grateful for. So if I say A and you are grateful for apples, call out apples. And we're going to move through this, so you got to just let it flow. Whatever comes to you, you all probably come up with different things, but that's fine. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, Hail, I, J, K, Kool-Aid, kangaroos, okay, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, now check in. Have you moved anywhere up that scale? Even 1 or 2 little notches. Now, if you're already at a 10, did you make it a 10 plus? So that's how that works. I wanted you to have an opportunity to experience it so that you can just take yourself A to Z for all the things that you're grateful for, and you can't stay wherever you are on that scale as you start thinking about what you're grateful for. It'll help shift you and help you to move through whatever that process is. So in the present, we can look at gratitude and look at that acorn that bonked us in the head. And we can give thanks for whatever the gift is in that, the manna from heaven, so to speak, whatever it is that's coming through as that. And we can use the acorn to remind us that it's not the sky, it's just this little thing. We can have it bring into perspective what it is we are dealing with. And if we really need to, we can take ourselves on that A to Z gratitude and help ourselves shift. So that's great for the present, but how does gratitude help us deal with the past? What happens if you're dealing with something out of your past that's just really weighing on you? All that weight of whatever, like the ceiling was weighing on us here, or the roof. Too much stuff. Well, recently another one of the people who speaks here for us regularly, Randy Granger, posted on his Facebook page that he ends every day by making a gratitude list. Well, that's your immediate past. You're looking at your day that you've been through, and you just make a list of all the things that you're grateful for that you can think of in that day as you go to sleep, so that your mindset is in gratitude. And as you do that every day, you've just racked up a whole bunch of days in your past where you have all this stuff to be grateful for. But what if it's bigger? What if it's something from way back? How do you use gratitude then to help you with that? Well, I have a poem that I want to share with you that speaks to that, from Love Poems from God, and this one was written by Kabir, who lived in 1440 to 1518, so a while back. I had to seek the physician. I had to seek the physician because the pain of this world and what it had caused me. I could not believe what happened when I got there. I found my teacher. Before I left, he said, "Up for a little homework yet?" "Okay," I replied. "Well then, try thanking all the people who have caused you pain. They helped you come to me." So that's one way. We can look back through our past and think about all the people in our lives and just know that they've brought us here to where we are today, to this center that teaches a positive outlook on life, that helps us to change what it is we have in our life, that teaches principles like gratitude. So it brings you to where you are today. That's one way. Now another way, and another one of Ernest Holmes' teachings that I really like, that you can apply gratitude to your past, is remember that Ernest Holmes teaches principle is not based on precedence. So you just give thanks that you're never going to have to experience that again. That's the way I think about it. What an amazing teaching that was for me, that principle isn't based on precedence. So today, I'm at choice. I can make today different. I can have my interactions be different. How I choose to perceive things can bring about that difference. I don't have to continually repeat the past. We're not going out there into that trash bin and bringing all that stuff back up onto the roof and trying to use that as our new roof. We're bringing in something new. We're having a new experience. The way it is going to look in here is going to be new and different. And then there's another way that Ernest Holmes talks about the way that we can look at our past. And this one, I think, is the main one, the one that speaks to us the most. He says, the practitioner knows, and this is a small p, practitioners. That means all of us. Any of us who are practicing science of mind or who are striving to bring these principles into our life. The practitioner knows that the spiritual human needs no healing, but that this has not yet become revealed to the mind. What the healer does is to mentally uncover and reveal the truth of being, which is that God is in and through everyone, and that this indwelling presence is already perfect. We separate the belief from the believer and reveal that which needs no healing. Thought is sifted, and that which does not belong to the real person must be discarded. Whatever is of discordant nature does not belong to the truth of our being. We really heal the thought. The spirit within us needs no healing, for the spirit within us is God. And so as we apply the principle, the different principles that we have, including the principle of gratitude, we start to realize and reveal the truth within every situation and start to see that there's really nothing there to heal after all. We just allow that truth to shine its light into that situation. Now, I want to tell you a story, and some of you have already heard this story, but I think it helps us to see how our perception can really change something. And that's what we're looking at here, is changing our perception of our past. So imagine that you're sitting next to a nice pool of water, and if you like to be in the sun, you can be in a lounge chair in the sun. And if you like this shade, imagine you're in the shade. and you have a nice book with you. You're reading that book and just enjoying the cool breeze. You might have a nice cool drink next to you and some little snacks. And you're just enjoying your time here resting. When all of a sudden you start getting splashed, cold water starts splashing up on you. How do you feel? Somebody's just splashing, splashing, splashing. They keep splashing and splashing and splashing. Well, all of a sudden you look, who is doing this to me? And you realize there's somebody there drowning. Now, how does that shift how you feel? The same thing was happening, but your understanding of it and your perception of it shifts, and it changes how you feel. Now, that story I got out of Greg Bear's book, Real Love, and it's one of those books I really, really love. And in there, he is proposing that anyone who has caused us emotional pain is drowning, and they've been splashing us with their stuff. And if we can look into our past and see those people as people who were drowning, it might help us shift our perspective enough that we can move into gratitude. I was thinking, this might sound bad, but I was thinking we can be grateful they didn't take us down with them. Or we can be grateful that we figured out a way to help them out, or that we were able to separate ourselves from being splashed, whatever the situation. The idea is that we're shifting our perspective of our past. And we can move into gratitude once we get a different take on what was taking place. So as we look for gratitude healing our past, we look for those gems. Again, we're looking for that, what I call manna from heaven, that acorn that dropped. We're looking for a new perspective, the broader perspective. What it really was, as opposed to the big story we might have told ourselves and told everybody around us as we ran to tell the whole world the sky was falling. And we look to reveal the truth, the spiritual truth, within every situation. And when that happens, when we start to reveal that truth of who we are and who the other person is, what's really amazing to me is that victimhood falls away. Our resentments and our anger can fall away. And that's why I asked Martha to read what she did this morning, because I think it's the same process as shining light into the darkness. That stuff is like the darkness in our life. And it can only stay there as long as we don't shine any light on it. But when we shine that light of truth, when we shine that light of the truth of who we are and who those people are into that situation, all that stuff disappears. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to do a lot of work to heal from it. The minute we shine the light on it, it just goes away like the darkness. And so that's how we can use gratitude to help us heal from our past. And so finally, I also believe gratitude can help us heal our future. Now that might seem a little strange. And no, I'm not assuming we're going to have awful things happen that we have to heal. But I believe that gratitude can heal our future, because we know that how we step into our future is how we end up experiencing it. The frame of mind that we move into our future with is how we will then end up experiencing our future. And so this month, we have 5 Sundays to discuss this issue. We have 5 Sundays that we're going to be looking at how we can heal through gratitude. And on the 5th Sunday, we have a new person coming who's never spoken here before. His name is Sankara Saranam, and he is the founder of the Pranayama Institute. He's also the son of Dina, and I saw Dina arrive here a minute ago. There she is. And Dina gifted me with this book last week, and her son was like, yes, I'll speak there. I was very excited, and I've been reading through this book this week. And in here, he has a really good way of describing one of the things that we learned also through Ernest Holmes. And that is this idea that we, in our spiritual mind treatment, in our prayer work, our affirmative prayer work, we state everything in the present tense in that realization part. We state it in the present tense as if it already is. And some people find that difficult. They don't understand why. Why are we doing that? And then we not only state it in the present tense, but we give thanks for it. We give thanks, again, as if it already is. And so I like the way he describes why we might do this. First of all, he starts out, gratitude affirmations, extended either verbally or mentally, give thanks for the good things in life, frequently thanking God for the food set before you or the roof over your head, so I had to read this part, affirms the place and the value of these commodities, thus helping to ensure you are never without them. You might also thank God for giving you things you are without. Using gratitude affirmations in this way corrects the beggar's mentality that has us praying for something we do not have and thereby affirming its absence in our lives. So if you need a vehicle but do not have the money to buy one, rather than praying for a vehicle, thank God for it, doggedly affirming its presence in your life. Your experience of the world will respond, and having overcome contradictions will make a means of transportation available to you. So there he's explaining that we're correcting that beggar's mentality. We're not going to God begging, I need this, I want this. And we're not praying that we don't have it and affirming that and making that happen more often. But instead we're saying, yes, we have it. We're opening and saying yes to what God has to offer us right now in the present, even as it is still a thought in the mind of God. And this book that we used in Prosperity Plus, The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles, which was written back in 1910, he's also speaking to this. The person who wishes to get rich must spend his leisure hours in contemplating his vision and in earnest thanksgiving that his reality is being given to him. Too much stress cannot be laid on the importance of frequent contemplation of the mental image, coupled with unwavering faith and devout gratitude. This is the process by which the impression is given to the formless substance and the creative forces are set in motion. So again, that mental image, we create that vision, that picture in our mind. So we are already visualizing amazing things in here. And as these things outwardly appear, I know they're appearing in our own lives. This is just a mirror back to us as things are happening in our own lives. And then that unwavering faith and devout gratitude helps to get that creative medium in action. So essentially then, gratitude is an important part of affirmative prayer. It's an important part of getting us to move into that place. It corrects that beggar's mentality. I like that phrase that he wrote. It shifts our expectancy. We're moving into what we expect as opposed to what we don't have. It makes us move into principle instead of staying stuck in our precedents, instead of being stuck in what we've always experienced. Well, it's always this way. Instead, we move into principle and shine that light into the situation. It shifts our perspective from the whole sky is falling to that acorn that bonked us on the head. It brings things into perspective. It shifts our focus in general, and it helps to shift our feelings. And we know that our feelings are what attract into us the good in our life. It's that feeling that helps to create. So essentially, gratitude is a tool that heals our future by allowing us to reveal our good and accept it, even as it's still moving toward us. It heals our past as we shine the light into our past and reveal, actually, that there's nothing that really needs to be healed. And it helps us to move into principle. It helps us to gain that place where we just reveal more and more and more of our good. And so it is.